Hey guys, welcome to another week at Calon Kids. I hope you've had a fantastic week and you are still staying safe. Today we are going to do the parable of the Good Samaritan, which is found in Luke chapter 10. So go grab your stuff and I'll see you back in a second. So today we are going to do a first aid kit and we are going to tell you exactly how to do that in a second. If you haven't already, go on to Calon Church and get Mummy and Daddy to print you off the template of the bag. You'll need 2 of them, so go and get them now. If you can print them onto card, that's great. If it's paper, it doesn't matter. It's not a problem. Print on whatever you can. Now today's craft is really, really easy. All we have to do is cut along the solid black lines. You'll see that there are dotted lines as well. That's where we're going to fold. So don't cut those lines at all. Stick to the bold lines on the outside. And then once you've cut them, all you have to do is colour in the red cross. Now remember what I said. Don't cut on the dotted lines. You need to cut on the big black lines on the outside. The dotted line shows us where we're going to fold later. That is really important. Now be very careful when you cut the handle out, because what you don't want to do is cut straight across. So maybe ask a grown-up to help you cut that hole out to make your handle. So once you've got your 2 sides of your bag, you then need to fold along the dotted line. So just fold one of them in, the sides, the bottom, and the other side. So then you'll have your 2 bag shapes, and then these parts will be folded inside of the bag. Then we're going to put glue onto these bits here and glue them together. So get your glue stick and just put glue on those there, and then the bag can be glued together. So I've glued the outside of this one and I'm gluing the inside of this one. And you'll see why in a minute. Then when you put it together, you take the outside of the one you've glued and glue it to the inside of the other bag so that it does that. Yeah, you glue them together like that. Then the sides are glued together as well. And it forms a little box shape on your bag. That's what you need to get, because you need to be able to put things in your bag when we're going to give them out a little bit later on. And that's it for the craft. That's your little first aid bag, and I'll explain what we can do with it in a little while. So you need to just leave the glue dry in order to make the bag secure. And while that dries, let me tell you the story of the Good Samaritan. There were some religious scholars. They're like teachers. They were really intelligent and knew a lot about what was in the Bible. And they were trying to catch Jesus out. And they asked Jesus one day, "How do I get to heaven?" And Jesus said, "Well, you tell me. What do you think?" And the religious scholar answered back saying, "I've got to love the Lord my God with all my heart, with all my soul, and with all my mind, and love my neighbour like I love myself." And then they asked Jesus, "But who is my neighbour?" And that's when Jesus told them the story of the Good Samaritan. This is what he said. One day there was a man walking from Jerusalem to Jericho on a very, very busy road. While he walked that road, some robbers came and beat him up and left him on the side of the road as if he was dead. Then a priest came along. Now a priest is like a pastor. They're like a leader of a church. He came past and saw the man lying on the road. But instead of helping him, he crossed to the other side and walked straight past him. Next, somebody called a Levite walked past. Now, a Levite was somebody who worked in the church. He saw the man on the side of the road and he decided to ignore him and cross the road and completely walk past him. Then a Samaritan came along. Now the Samaritan and the man lying on the floor, they were at the time enemies. They didn't like each other. The two people were at war together. And so, if you like, he had every reason to walk past. Nobody expected him to stop and help at all. But the Samaritan saw the man on the floor and took pity on him. He came over to him, he put oil on his wounds, he bandaged up his wounds, he cleaned the man up. He put the man on the back of his donkey and took him to the nearest hotel. When he got to the hotel, he asked the person there to look after him, to put him into bed, to look after his sores, to feed him, and that whatever it cost, he would pay the bill. And what Jesus said to the scholar then, who do you think was the good neighbour? And the scholars, of course, replied, it was the Good Samaritan. Now, the moral behind the story, or the lesson behind the story, is that we should be kind. So like last week, we looked at the story of the unforgiving servant. And we said then, didn't we, that we should treat others as we expect them to treat us. And the same goes in the story of the Good Samaritan. Jesus was saying, everybody is your neighbour. Anybody that needs you to help, you should help them. Treat them like you would want to be treated. Because I know if I was on the side of the road, and if I was hurting, and if I needed help, I would want somebody along to come and help me. So the story is, if you can help somebody, regardless of whether they're your friend, your family, even your enemy, if you can help, you should try your best to help. Because everybody is your neighbour. Now, why have we made a little first aid bag? So what we're going to do with these first aid bags is, at the moment, obviously, we're all stuck in lockdown. We have people who live around us who maybe need something. And if they don't need something like shopping or medicines, they might just need cheering up. So that's what our first aid little bag is going to do for us this week. So what I want you to do is, when you've made your bag, pop something in it that is going to be something nice for your mummy or your daddy or your sister or your neighbour or maybe your grandma who you haven't seen in a long time. So I've got a couple of things here. I've got a packet of love hearts, so I can pop them into my first aid bag. I've got a Milky Bar or a Dairy Milk chocolate bar, so I'm going to pop that into my bag. I've got a flower, a red rose that I found, so I'm going to pop that into my bag. And finally, I'm going to write a little message. Maybe, like I said, it might be your grandparents who you haven't seen for a long time. So I'm going to write down, I love you and miss you. Put a big kiss on my note. So I'm going to pop my note into my first aid kit. And so whoever gets this little kit will get a little message from me saying, I love you, I miss you. They're going to get a little packet of love hearts, a dairy milk, and a lovely red rose. So my first aid kit, hopefully, is going to cheer somebody up today. So why don't you make a load of first aid kits? Pop them into your neighbours, pop them into your friends, pop them into your grandparents, and cheer them up today. And be a good neighbour today. Well, I hope you've enjoyed again the craft today. Join me next Saturday for another of Jesus' parables. Have a good week. Bye.